forces. Look at this. It's like Comsat after Comsat. Comsat's trying to detect the other Comsat or something. As Strelok here really needs to, I think he's doing fine. He has map control. He can continue to grab these expansions at will. Why does he not have an SCV? Finishing this command center, though, I think he might have just left it there and forgot about it after the siege tank took out the SCV. This is actually really bad. He needs to get something on here to finish the CC. You guys can see the income actually for TLO is at 47 over 35, so TLO is actually doing quite a bit better than Strelok, and that's the fact of the matter is he was able to stop all the mining here for such a long time. And now it looks like he is going to drop off another siege tank into that nice little nestled location, gonna siege up and once again stop all mining right here for Strelok. Strelok really can't do anything about it. Oh, and he takes out the other Viking as well, which means this Viking cannot come here to land. But the Thor is actually just going to annihilate that tank from the Comsat. But the tank got several kills. Look at how many SCVs went down. And TLO is starting to really increase that gap. 50 harvesters over 34 as TLO has transitioned into a very big Viking army to deal with who knows what. Just have the mobility on the center of the map, I suppose. Vikings are very good for taking out those SCVs. I think he just took out another one right there that was trying to erect an expansion. Strelok here has started mining, and you know what TLO can do is bring these Vikings around, land them on the high ground, and start picking off these SCVs. Indeed, that's what I'd like to see him do. I think that's what he's going to try to do right here, as he is going to scan, test the location a little bit, and he's not going to land on the high ground. Actually going to walk right into this Thor. I don't quite agree with that, as the Thor can actually take out these Vikings fairly easily. And it's going to be a pretty big battle here, and I think the Vikings are going to win. A couple of the Vikings go down, just sheer numbers for TLO, but here comes some Marauders, and TLO is going to be forced to lift off, I think, but he was able to kill off a couple of SCVs. Not really worth it, though. I'm surprised TLO didn't just land here on the high ground. I think that would have been a much smarter play and just safely sniped off these harvesters, or at least stopped them from mining. Meanwhile, we have a pretty big push from Strelok here, pushing up into the high ground expansion. Looks like he might be able to take out this command center. TLO forced to evacuate the area, gonna lift off all of his command centers, or at least just this one, and then run away all of his harvesters for the safety of the main base. And TLO here's a little bit of trouble, as meanwhile another Viking harassment landing, another Viking party landing into that gold expansion, gonna stop all mining. They might even possibly take out this command center, as Strelok here is just, both players kind of going for eye for an eye, taking out multiple expansions each. Looks like we have another pair of Vikings this time. TLO taking my advice, landing on that high ground, which has stopped all mining at this expansion. Income tab showing a huge difference, as Strelok drastically falling behind, as two of his bases have all but stopped mining. This siege tank desperately trying to siege up to deal with the forces on the high ground ledge. And it looks like Strelok is starting to siege up onto the main, so while Strelok has lost a lot of his mining at both of his 3 o'clock expansion as well as his natural, the main thing is he does have these siege tanks shelling away at the production facilities, which means half of these production facilities, TLO not going to be able to bring in more reinforcements, and TLO gonna land a couple of his Vikings on the high ground, possibly to destroy these rocks. Who knows? He might be trying to open up a backdoor entrance into Strelok's base, but Strelok, I think, even though he doesn't have much mining action going on right now, he is in a firm position of control because he has all of these forces along with these two Thors, and if they can take out this starport, that means that TLO is going to be back down to 1 racks, 1 factory, 1 port to produce everything that he's got, not the position he wants to be in. As Strelok here is starting to shell away at everything that TLO's got, and he does have 117 worth of army, TLO at a measly 106. A bit lower than Strelok, actually, as TLO gonna try to inch his way forward towards that siege tank. He does have sight over the siege tanks because that starport was there for a second, and now the Comsat gonna continue the spotting action, as looks like Strelok gonna be forced to fall back. Finally, TLO making a stand for his base, and it looks like the Vikings finally did destroy those rocks, and they are going to get in here, pick off that Viking that was in the air, and now, wow, TLO's got a ton of Vikings into Strelok's main, gonna probably take out this siege tank. Meanwhile, some Vikings landing on this high ground ledge, gonna take out the siege tank, and now that that siege tank's down, these Vikings can just lift off, wait for the Comsat to end, and they can re-land and start picking out those harvesters. Great play by TLO here, doing these multi-pronged attacks one in the main, picking off all the reinforcements that come out of these barracks and buildings, and picking off that Viking as well. And then this other attack party on the high ground gonna land now, and I don't think Strelok's got the ability to scan. TLO could definitely take out a couple of these harvesters right here, but it looks like he's gonna protect these rocks first and foremost. At the same time, also grabbing another expansion on the other side of the map. TLO here is looking stronger and stronger by the minute. He has effectively stopped all mining once again. 48 harvesters, over 25 in TLO's favor, and I just don't see what Strelok can do to get back into this game. TLO landing those Vikings to take out those Marauders, a couple Marauders coming from behind here. And TLO right now is mining off of 1, 2, 3. Well, he's about to have 1, 2, 3, 4 bases. A couple of them aren't mining, however, and it looks like he has transitioned into Banshees. Meanwhile, Strelok has lost this expansion probably twice now. He hasn't been able to efficiently mine at this expansion for about the last 5 minutes due to the constant harass from TLO. And of course, this backdoor rocks are now open and exposed. And so I guess, well, there's still these rocks right here, but TLO has just been keeping the pressure on Strelok, and Strelok hasn't really had a response to it. He hasn't been able to do much. Looks like he is going for a slight counterattack with these 3 Marauders. Was able to force the command center to lift off. But of course, TLO just going to migrate it over to this expansion over here. And it looks like we do have a pretty massive battle going on here as Strelok pushing in with a pretty big force. TLO, where is his army at? Strelok at 97 supply, TLO at 103. TLO definitely has more forces in the game right now. Is he really just going to let his natural expansion go down along with these 3 Raxes? He's not doing anything with his Vikings on the other side of the map, and I think this could be big trouble for TLO. I think TLO was just waiting for the forces to get in range of his siege tank, so possibly, as now the Banshees coming into play. They do have Cloak, and those Banshees gonna be the mop-up duty for TLO right there. Gonna once again land these Vikings into Strelok's main, taking out several SCVs, 21 Harvesters, 10 Harvesters for Strelok. Strelok is just reeling right now. He has absolutely no income, no gas at all, and so what you see for Strelok is what you get. You're not going to see much more forces come out as TLO has made great use of his Vikings. These Vikings have been purely for harassment purposes, and they have served that purpose well. They have harassed the natural expansion, they've harassed the main. Strelok down to 9 Harvesters currently. I just don't see how Strelok's going to win this game. TLO currently mining off of 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I guess the other bases aren't really mining. But TLO has the potential to be mining off of those bases, whereas Strelok only has 2 command centers. And on top of that, this Viking is starting to work on these SCVs. So these SCVs forced to fall back, not going to be able to mine at all. Not in that dangerous work environment, as more Vikings and even Banshees gonna come in here to help out this attacking party. The Banshees, I think, are gonna be the nail in the coffin because Strelok has no anti-air. He has nothing to deal with these Banshees. He can't even afford a Thor right now. He is just really doesn't have any response to TLO, and TLO is gonna take this game. I'm surprised Strelok hasn't GG'd yet, as I think we're just waiting for him to call the GG. Of course, this is, I believe, a best of 3, so there are 2 more games to come. It could be a best of 5. I might be mistaken. But there goes those Banshees popping off those siege tanks. Actually, there was a Thor that was able to come out for Strelok. He does also have a Raven, and these Vikings are just going to snipe that Raven out. The Raven never had an opportunity to do anything productive. And so Strelok GG's, and TLO wins game number 1 between the 2 players from Europe. And so we are going to move on to game number 2. Whoa. And it is going to be the GLHF Italian round of 4 StarCraft 2 beta closing invitational. Hopefully you guys enjoy what you see. HD going to be signing out here till the next game.